Welcome to the Band Director Bootcamp podcast, the go-to place for busy band directors who want practical to build programs while maintaining balance in their lives. This podcast is brought to you by the Empowered Music Educator Academy, where we help directors like you find efficiency, sustainability, and impact in your teaching and leadership. And speaking of impact, our platinum sponsor, Kennelly Keys Music, has been serving musicians with a commitment to quality, reliability, and exceptional service. Whether you need top-tier instruments, expert repairs, or trusted advice, they've got you covered. Now, let's dive in and set the tempo for success.
Welcome to another episode of Band Director Bootcamp, the podcast with productivity and wellness tips for busy band directors. I'm your host, Lesley Moffat, and I'm really grateful to be sharing this platform with you. We know you don't have time for long professional development webinars, so we give you 20-minute tidbits with takeaways you can use to help support you in this amazing career. And I'm super excited because, I get the best guests on this. And today we are talking with Dr. Shannon Shaker. Shannon's the assistant professor and director of bands at Grand Rapids Community College, where she leads the wind ensemble, campus band, jazz ensemble, and teaches applied clarinet and other music classes. And then prior to that, taught in Maryland. She's the founder and artistic director of Beer City Wind Bands in Grand Rapids. They're amazing. I got to hear them last summer. She's also the founder of Women's Band Composition Contest to encourage and support women composers for wind bands. I know I got a lot of you women composers out there in this audience, so check her stuff out. And then she has become, are you going to?
Yeah, sorry, Lesley.
We'll start over.
I should have sent you an updated bio.
Okay.
I just haven't done the composition contest in a while, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to restart it. I probably need to take that out of my bio.
Okay. And then what I'm going to do is just make a note. I'll just cut it, and then I'll just jump right back in.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay. So I'm going to do three. I'm going to do a big clap, and it's going to spike the thing so George can quickly go to it. Okay. So I just talked about, I'll cut right after Beer City Wins, blah, blah, blah. And then, Okay, back into it. And of all the conductors I have ever watched in my entire career and life, and I'm pretty old, Shannon is my all-time favorite director to watch on the podium. Oh my gosh, Shannon's connection with ensembles is like nothing I've seen before. I watched her conduct the Beer City wind band. And then I got to sit on the other side of the podium as she did some conducting clinics. And there is no doubt about every gesture this woman makes. It was incredible. So Shannon, sorry, I just have to tell you, I fangirl when I watch you conduct. And then I've gotten to know her through Women Band Directors International, where she hosted our summer conference this past summer in Grand Rapids. So welcome to Band Director Bootcamp, Shannon.
Thank you so much, Lesley. Oh gosh, that's too much. Now I'm going to have trouble talking. Thank you for all of your kind words. It's so nice to be here.
Oh, well, I'm thrilled that you're here, and I'm just excited because I've gotten to know you as a human and then seen you professionally in the things you do, and I know you bring so much to the table. And what we're going to talk about today is how you've managed to forge your own path and become really resilient in this kind of crazy profession we're in, which can become overwhelming and all-consuming, as we were discussing earlier, and ways that you balance the needs of your students with your own personal needs, because, again, we all struggle with that. And so if you could just solve all of our problems in the next 15 minutes or so, that would be great.
All right. Sounds good, Lesley.
No pressure. So talk to us a little bit about forging your own path. You're teaching at university level. You're, out there conducting, doing all the clinics, doing the things. Give us a little background.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always knew I wanted to be a band director. I say always, but in high school, I decided I wanted to be a band director. Band was my favorite thing. I went to college, music education. I wanted to be a band director. I really fell in love with the art of conducting in college and thought someday it would be really great to go study conducting at the graduate level, really in service of being a band director. High school band director was like my goal. And then the reality was when I got out of college, I was only offered elementary music positions. And so I taught elementary music. I got a good foothold in that, but I really wanted to be a band director. And so after a few years, I wasn't maintaining, or I wasn't able to kind of get into a position as a high school band director because I didn't have experience as a band director, because I was teaching elementary music. And so I did do some K through 12 teaching in my first job, which included high school band. And then I decided to look for a job that would be more full-time band. So I accepted a job teaching middle school band that was band all day because it was my favorite thing to do. And partway through the year, there were some changes in the school, and I got reassigned to K through 2 general music and beginning band. And so at that point, I wasn't really sure how to meet these goals of being a band director, of studying conducting at the graduate level. Nobody I knew had made that move from elementary music teacher into even high school band director, or even further getting into graduate school. And so I really initially didn't think that was going to be an option for me. I thought maybe I needed to reimagine my dreams and goals. And I happened to talk to one of my mentors from undergrad, Central Michigan University, and I was asking them about maybe doing a 3-summer master's for my teacher licensure at the time. And I said, I've always wanted to do the conducting thing, but I don't have a lot of experience. I taught high school band for 2 years at a small school. I don't have tapes. My bands haven't gotten straight ones at festival. I don't think that I'm good enough to get into any programs. And thankfully, he saw what I had to offer, and he said, actually, you'd be great at that. Come do this. So I left my public teaching job, went and did my master's in wind conducting with Jack Williamson at Central Michigan University, which was life-changing and transformative for me. And his belief in me and him seeing what I had to offer, even without the resume that maybe other people had going into those things, is what allowed me to really start to flourish and realize my dreams of being a band director and a conductor. And so that was a big kind of leap. And I still, to this day, don't know many people who have made that leap from elementary music to having a doctorate in wind conducting. And I didn't meet a lot of people who had a similar journey as me, which goes into this resilience piece, right? So a lot of things about resilience is that you're resilient because you don't really have a choice. And I find that to be true from me. I grew up in a different situation than many of my peers. I grew up in poverty. I'm a first-generation musician. I'm a first-generation student. Both of my parents dropped out of high school. And so I kind of just was a person from the get-go who was like, this is what I want, and I'm going to take whatever steps. And it was a lot of trial and error, and it was a lot of luck and great mentors and good friends that got me through into where I was. But I also survived undergrad by doing a lot of masking. I worked at McDonald's 40 hours a week in the summer. I worked at McDonald's at 5 a.m. during the college. I wasn't going to festivals. Buying reeds was a struggle for me. There weren't any, workshops, summer festivals, or any of that. And that continued on. And then as I got into my master's, and then as I got into my doctorate, and I'm in school with other graduate students who have conservatory training, who have played at festivals, who have won, I was like, oh my gosh, how will I ever keep up? How will I ever catch up? Right? I spent my summers at McDonald's. I wasn't at Interlochen or Blue Lake or Tanglewood or wherever. And really started to wonder what I was even doing. But what I have found through that is what I saw as deficits in myself, I now actually see as a music educator as a superpower. Because I see students coming in with similar backgrounds to me, and a lot of them ask pretty quickly, I don't even know if this is for me. I don't know if I can do this. And I'm able to connect with them and see what they might need, whereas other faculty might not have any idea. Other faculty might never imagine that a student couldn't afford a box of reeds. because that's just not something they experienced. And so I'm able to help these students who are working jobs, who have these other things, find that balance and push them and support them and give them what they need to make it through those tough times when they wonder if they're cut out for it because of things outside of their own control within the music department.
Wow. That's yeah, you do bring a different perspective. I didn't know all this about you. I forgot we were doing a podcast. I'm just listening and going away. I didn't formulate any brilliant questions in my head.
It's stuff until I started teaching college early. I didn't talk about it. A lot of my friends in undergrad had no idea what I was going through. And it's a lot of, you fake it till you make it. And so I wasn't going to pretend. I didn't know that there was a difference between band and orchestra until I was at college. I grew up in a tiny town and it was band. And I was like, oh, they're different. And it was so embarrassing. So, you kind of just hold back and do whatever and, learn. And like I said, I found great friends. My teachers were great. But a lot of it for me was fake it till you make it, which then leads to the imposter syndrome, which then eventually you look around and you're like, what am I doing?
I still do that. And I've been at this for a very long time.
Yes, which is good to know that never ends.
Well, no, is it good to know? I don't know. Maybe I just made you go, shoot, I'll never be done with it.
I do know the only thing I know after getting my doctorate is how little I know.
Right. The more you know, the more you know you don't know.
Exactly. Right? Exactly. And then resilience goes into wellness as well. I know wellness and productivity are things you talk about on this show a lot and are very near and dear to your heart. I have taught in a myriad of experiences, K through 12, small rural college. In my master's and doctoral programs, I taught grad students. Now I'm at a community college, which has its own unique set of needs and goals for our students. And not all of those situations were really good work environments. And more than once, I was looking around and I was like, is it me? Am I incapable of doing this? What am I doing wrong? And there's always room for growth, for sure. But it is that questioning of this doesn't feel right to me is a way I have now reached my dream of being a college band director. Because when I was teaching elementary music, I loved it, but I knew this isn't it. And I didn't know what was it, but I knew that wasn't it. And I was brave enough to just try something else. And then I did end up in a position that turned out to be a very, very toxic, hostile workplace. I contributed a chapter to Go On, Tell Your Story. And the title of that chapter is Even the Most Beautiful Flower Won't Bloom in Toxic Soil. And that came out of my mouth in therapy while I was going through this toxic work environment. And all I wanted to do was be a band director. I had this job as a band director. And I was dying. I was truly facing full burnout. I was in the hospital with undiagnosed pain, a migraine that wasn't responsive to treatment. And I knew I couldn't continue that course. And I had tried for about half a year at that point to change myself to make the job work for me. And the more I changed myself, the less the job worked for me, because then I had no sense of who I was or what I was doing. And so I made the really hard decision halfway through the year to leave that job. And I thought maybe I ruined my career forever. And I would never get to be a band director. And I really thought maybe I just was never meant to do this. Maybe I'm not good enough. And the great news is me making that choice and leaving, I gave myself time to heal. I did a lot of therapy. I slept a lot. I took a lot of walks outside, and happened to get a job in a really positive work environment where I've been able to thrive, not just survive. I'm really thriving now. I just got tenure in my current position. I know I'm stepping into to be our department chair next year. I started a second concert band. I've started a community band, Beer City Winds, that meets in the summer. And so if you find yourself saying this doesn't feel right, it might not be you. It might be the job.
You said this, you're like, you tried everything thinking it's you. And we always do that. We all take the blame ourselves. And oh God, sometimes it's not our fault.
Yes.
So people need to hear that sooner because, we go through our own, like, oh, it's got to be me. But man, sometimes things just aren't a good fit.
And that's when a lot of people end up leaving the profession, right?
Yeah,
because they're like, I just can't make this work. And that might be the right choice for some people. And I really thought I had doomed my career forever, that no one would want to hire me. And I was wondering if I was cut out for it. And I was like, I think in the right fit, I could do this. And so to find a positive environment where I can thrive, yes, it isn't necessarily you. It might be the job.
Yes. So remember that out there, you guys, as you're like freaking out about what you're doing wrong. Same thing with kids. We can't control everything. They come to us and it's like, some of it has, can't all be us.
Absolutely. And it might be, I know you moved from high school to middle school. It might be a change in the level you're teaching. It might be a change in the school district. It might be a change. There are so many different things, but don't be afraid to try something. Right. If you know in your heart, this isn't it, try something else. That's like my number one advice.
Yeah. Or something could be it for a very long time. Like for 20 years, I was super happy in that job. And then after the pandemic, like we all went through some changing, and then it wasn't the right fit for me anymore. But that didn't mean it wasn't but it was important to be mindful of now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I got a couple more questions for you, but before we get to those, I want to take a minute and shout out our podcast sponsors, the Empowered Music Educator Academy and Candidly Music.
As band directors, we know that success is all about preparation, whether it's in the classroom, on the podium, or behind the scenes. That's why the Empowered Music Educator Academy is here to help you master time management, reduce stress, and create sustainable routines that keep both you and your program thriving. And when it comes to ensuring your musicians have access to top quality instruments and services, Kennelly Keys Music is the name to trust. From rentals and repairs to expert advice and outstanding customer service, Kennelly Keys is committed to keeping your program running smoothly. Visit KennellyKeysMusic.com today to explore their offerings and experience the difference of working with a company that truly cares about music education. Now, back to the show.
All right. We are back with Dr. Shannon Shaker, hearing all her life secrets, solving all your problems for you today. So if somebody out there is like, I want to be that band director who's building the big community, build a stronger community and all, but it's just so overwhelming, would you have what would be some tips you would have for somebody wanting to break into the position in a sustainable way?
Oh, yeah. Building community and breaking into the position in a sustainable way. I think you need to look at the job and look at what you can change and what you can't change. And what is best for the students in any band director job, conductor job. It's what's best for the people who you are working with and for your students. And is something you're doing serving them? Or is it something that maybe doesn't need to be done? And then as far as building community, for me, I use building community as a way to actually help with the demands of the job. We have our own community outside of our job. We have family, we have friends. That's so important. But I've also made it a point to connect with local music teachers, high school, middle school band directors, other college band directors. I have friends who teach all over the country that I'm in communication with regularly. And what that allows me to do is to either bring them in to work with my band. I can go clinic. I can go watch a rehearsal. When things are overwhelming, I only have so many ideas. I send a text and I text my friends, what's a piece you're working on that you love and why? And it brings me back to, okay, number one, I want to look into that piece. Number two, there's great music making happening out there all over and every day. And so if you're in a high school or middle school job, find a college near you and reach out to that director. Bring them in. For whatever reason, give yourself a day off, right? Like make it easier on yourself. And we're happy to do it. What?
As a teacher in the public schools, I love doing that because I learned so much that from that. It's like having a clinic at a festival, except like a lot meatier, and you get more time, and then it leaves me with stuff that I can continue to work on and teach. So what a great opportunity. Yeah. And people are always at the colleges are so
We
good.
always want to. I just did a festival last week, and the person I did the festival with said, yeah, no one around really asks me to come in and do clinics. So reach out to the band directors at your local colleges. And we love working with middle school students too. I promise. I'm not cut out to teach middle school full time, but I love coming in once, like riling them up, getting them really excited about music, and then letting you have them back. But for me, that's really huge, and something I think we do have the demands of our jobs, but there are ways that you can build the community to help you support those demands. If you just get stuck in, this is my band, this is what I need to do, and I need to do it all, I think you will burn out. And I think building community is essential.
Yes. And then you have buy-in for that. The people, I mean, there's something to, if they're setting up for this or helping raise money for it, or doing whatever, there's a sense of community that comes from that.
Yeah, absolutely.
They show up. It's not, do we have to be there for a grade, but it's, oh my God, tonight's concert night, right? It's a whole different place.
Yeah. And I did, for me, balancing my own student needs with my artistic work. I teach at a community college. My instrumentation is variable. We've got a really transient population. And so we make really good music. I work really hard with my students. I love my bands. But there are limits because of instrumentation, because of the level of players, because of all these different things on what repertoire we can really do. And so something I did that built community and let me stretch my wings as I started that summer band, Beer City Winds. And that's working with adults and with the goal of coming together, building a really wonderful community and doing really music at a really high artistic level. And so it's more work for me. It really kind of feeds my soul, and it's allowed me to become really close friends with local musicians in the area. And so maybe for you, it's not starting a band, but maybe join a community band. Go do that.
Done that, an all women's band.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I wish every city had an all women's band.
Aaron Keaton Howard and Ann Kreider are just amazing.
But those little things, because the job will still be there the next day, but you need to love what you do, and you need to find ways to build that community. So obviously conferences are great, all of those things, but especially connecting with the teachers local, especially when you're new to the area. Mm-hmm. And then other, community, WBDI has been great for me. I felt like I kind of found my people at the first WBDI conference that I attended. And that continues to just grow. You asked about wellness tips. So I want to give you asked for 3, but I have 4. Is that okay, Lesley?
All right, we'll do it. Give us 4.
I have 4. Number 1 is sleep. Prioritize sleep. Even if you can't prioritize anything else, get sleep. That has changed and saved my life. I made that change about 4 years ago. Everything is better when you have enough sleep. Number 2 for me is get outdoors, get in nature. It's a rare sunny day in March in Michigan for us today. So when I had 10 minutes between our class, I just walked outside and just stood in the sun and let it soak it up. Get outside, get in nature, lean on your family, friends, and experiences. Experience live music. Get out of your office. Experience things that you love that will excite you. And number 4 is therapy. I think everyone needs a therapist. And it isn't because you're messed up. It's because we all deserve to have someone there who can help us navigate situations as they come up. And it might just be once a month, but you have someone there who you aren't burdening with your problems. You don't feel like you're, bringing down your spouse or your best friend. You can take them anything and they can help you navigate your situations.
Those are good. 100% right. So when I started the podcast, I said, you're going to solve all our problems.
Sleep, a nap, if nothing else, it really helps me like 90% of the time if I can take a nap.
That's when our bodies can start to, and our brains get the opportunity to reset and the you cannot skimp on that for very long and survive very well.
In the book I read that changed my life was Burnout. So I highly recommend that. Emily and Amelia Nagoski. And that's what the thing I took away from that is sleep. And I was like, that's the one thing I can do that I can just prioritize. I go to bed, the work will be there tomorrow.
And it is, but you feel better and you can tackle it better.
Yes.
So, awesome. Well, if anybody wants to reach out for you or hire you to come and conduct their ensembles or anything like that, how can they reach you?
I would love that. The easiest way to reach me is honestly through email. My work email is great. Shannon Shaker @grcc.edu. And I would love to work with your bands, talk to you, have a Zoom chat or a phone call. I have talked to women who have been in tough situations and kind of just talked them through that and figuring out what the next right step is for them. And I really, really love doing that. It's why I love teaching at the community college, just helping my students find the next right step for them to meet their goals. And so if you ever just want an ear, shoot me an email and we can connect.
All right, we'll put that information in the show notes for anybody that wants to check it out. She's 100% sincere, you guys. What you're hearing on here is what she's really like. So, Shannon, thanks for hanging out with us today.
Thank you so much, Lesley.
All right, that's a wrap on this episode of Band Director Boot Camp. I want to thank Dr. Shannon Shaker for her time today, and to all of you out there who keep showing up for kids to teach music every day. Remember, success in music education isn't just about what happens in the podium. It's about taking care of yourself and setting up systems that work for you.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Band Director Boot Camp podcast. Remember, success in music education isn't just about what happens on the podium. It's about taking care of yourself and setting up systems that work for you. The Empowered Music Educator Academy is here to help you do just that. So be sure to check out our resources at empowerededucator.com. And of course, a huge thank you to Candidly Keys Music, our platinum sponsor, for their unwavering support of music educators like you. Whether you need instruments, accessories, or expert advice, their team is ready to help. Thanks for listening and keep making music happen.